Hi everyone, Professor Cadney's here. Here are the shout outs and reminders for this week. I hope that you all are having as good of a week as possible and continuing to persist as best as you can in all that life is dealing to you at this time. So, I wanted to give you the reminders first. We're working on summary and paraphrasing right now. And part of the reason why we're doing that is that for your final exam in week 14, um, you're going to be asked to do some summary and paraphrasing. So these are our 2 weeks to really practice it before we get to the final exam week, which is on week 14, when you'll be asked to do nothing that you haven't been asked to do before, but it's sort of a cumulative experience. In 98, you're going to be writing an essay, a persuasive essay. And in 99, you're going to be annotating, answering some questions, and the questions will include summary and paraphrasing. So I will go over exactly how that's going to work as we continue, but that's just why it's good to focus on paraphrasing and summary this week for sure. Another note, if you need to, please communicate with me. Some of you are doing a really good job with getting assignments in, and some of you are communicating with me to make arrangements for getting work in a little bit late, modifying assignments. I can be very flexible, but I am noticing that some of you guys are not communicating with me at all during this time, and I understand because it's a hard time. But please just communicate, even if it's to say, hey, like I'm really running late on assignments. Can you help me? Can we schedule a phone call? Like, can you make me a video? Whatever. Just reach out. I do have a bunch of students who are reaching out, which is good. But the other side of that is that I'm tending to the students who are reaching out to me before I can get to reaching out to those who haven't reached out to me. So please make yourself known to get at the top of that queue for getting my help if you need it. And again, ignore this if you're getting work in and everything's going just fine. That's true for many of you. All right, so let's put in this push towards the end of the semester to make it strong to the very last week. So here are our shout outs. I wanted to shout out Natalie, who had a great sentence linking to the thesis statement. I really, in her education essay, and I really appreciated this because the link to the thesis is in a question form, and I thought that that was really great. So I'm going to read that paragraph. CCP has helpful teachers. This is a body paragraph. So one of our ideas is that CCP has helpful teachers. Sometimes students need extra help in certain subjects. If you notice you're failing or don't understand the lesson, you could go after class to the tutor room in the Bonnell building for extra help. Notice how specific that is. My Saturday class is a math class. My professor always said, I'll stay here if anyone has questions. Please sit next to me if you need help. He offered students to stay after class if they had any questions about the lesson that day. That's awesome. Students have access to the library as well for some quiet study time. Students are given the help and guidance they need here at CCP. So that's like a really good link to the idea of helpful teachers, and then she extends it in the form of a question. Isn't it every student's dream to have support in their school environment? So that's like a really innovative way of continuing to tie things together. Questions open things up, make the reader think about their own experience, and I think that that was great. It sort of, I hate the expression, but killed two birds with one stone. So it basically allowed for a summary of what had been said in the paragraph, and it also connected with the reader and then led into the next paragraph as well. So, and then I won't read it, but she also has a really great paragraph after that about the mascot Rory. So, so far, Natalie is the only one to talk about Rory, the CCP mascot, but if you have not yet written your essay, you might want to talk about Rory. Rory is a really interesting mascot, an interesting story if you want to look up more about how Rory came to be. So good job. Also, I wanted to shout out Patrick's work. And Patrick, in this essay and in other essays as well, has a really stunning voice, which is that you can really experience Patrick's personality in his essays. So I've always really appreciated that about what he's doing, and his voice is coming through in a really well-structured essay. And so I'm going to read this. This is his paragraph about CCP's onboarding process. So, and the essay is about 3 ways that CCP could improve its online classes. So, CCP's onboarding process for distance learning students needs a little polish. I do not feel as a distance learning student that I should have been subjected to the torture that was in-person orientation. So again, you can see his personality. He's sort of being playful and jokey, and also making a serious point about how orientation was not so great. I say this because the first hour was just a live version of the information on the online portal, which was more straight to the point. I know I made the choice to be a distance learning student because it fit my lifestyle with work and family. I know for some students this reasoning could be much more to do with their varying disabilities. If sitting through the physical orientation was not bad enough, students present were forced into a gymnasium. Look at the nice verb choice, forced, right? That word, it doesn't just say went into a gymnasium. He's making very clever word choices that are giving us his voice and then also setting the tone for the paragraph. With lots of people and loud musics to do group building activities. I know this was done to help new students meet other students, but it was not a fun experience. So again, he's acknowledging within this paragraph the other perspective, which is what everybody did in a big way at the beginning of their paragraphs and the introduction when they did the contradiction, but you can also do it in small ways in the paragraphs itself. So and then he ends with it, but it was not a fun experience. So that was really excellent in terms of voice, and also the essay had a lot of other really awesome points, like the structure was excellent and the suggestions in it were really powerful too. Some general shout outs. Natalie had a really excellent specific contradiction, which talked about a friend of hers' actual experience at CCP and being told not to go to CCP. So that was very specific. It wasn't just like some people think that CCP is not the best environment, but it actually brought in who thinks that. So that was really powerful. Manelli in her essay has really, really genius ideas around how to make science classes work in distance format, particularly having lab classes happen on Saturdays. So that will be like a really great suggestion to pass on to the administration if she's willing. Manelli, maybe send me an email if you're willing to have me pass that on to the administration. And I'll just say in general, if any of you are willing to have your essay shared in a broader way, if you could shoot me an email, that would be awesome, and I will pass it on to an appropriate person. I'm not quite sure at this point, since everybody is so busy, who is going to be reading it, but it will be somebody who's in some sort of position of power who can make changes to CCP. And that has happened in the past, that changes have been made based on these essays. So hopefully some of you will be willing to have me share them. Okay, and then I also wanted to shout out Cassie, who had a really innovative contradiction. So instead of saying, again, like what some people felt about a particular Catholic school experience, she contrasts her experience in Catholic school with her brother's experience, and then from her brother's experience comes up with points about what can be improved. And I thought also that her recommendations at the end of her essay were really great too. So she had very concrete and specific recommendations for what could be changed in the conclusion. And some of you were really working hard on that too, about actually creating constructive criticism. So saying what was wrong and then also coming up with solutions in the final paragraph. So for everybody who's turned in your essay so far, I would say that even beyond the ones that I've talked about here, they're pretty strong. So keep up the good work. Again, as always, if you have any questions, especially now as we're moving towards the end of the semester, please get in touch with me. And I just wanted to say also, it's been so fun to watch your growth. I hope that you will look at some of your work from early in the course and compare it to your work now, just to see how structurally, grammatically, and even in terms of insights, your work has gotten so much stronger. Also hang in there if you're struggling with summary. It's a hard skill. It's not, it's a very specific thing with a lot of guidelines, so it takes some practice. And we are going to be practicing in the next several weeks, but if you need additional practice, let me know. Or if you have any questions about it, please do be proactive, because you will need to do that for the final exam. And you can get it, but it does take a little bit of practice. All right, good work, everybody. Have a good week.